I am going to venture a guess that I will never again be this excited about an $11 eyeshadow palette again. So I was at my local drugstore and I saw the Maybelline Nudes, this new 12 color nude eyeshadow palette that is new for kind of summer fall by Maybelline. I don't have a lot of Maybelline eyeshadows. I guess I would say I have a love-hate relationship with drugstore brands. I found some amazing products and then I found some products that I just hated. So this one I figured for $11, because that's what it was. I guess the list price is about 11 or 12, just depending, like $11.79 or something. I paid about 11, which I thought was a great deal for, it's already dirty, right? It's black, it gets fingerprints all over it. I'm going to show you the back first. So there are 12 colors, and they have it divided up by quads, trios, and then duos. So as you look at the shadows here, you can pair them up based on the different sort of families that they're in. So basically this is what it looks like. There's no mirror. This right here I would call just your basic kind of taupe, neutral day look. And I'll go into the individual colors in a minute. This right here I would call kind of your warmer tones. This is cooler, this is warmer, and this is kind of the bronze summer shimmer thing going on. And then this one right here is kind of your more smoky quad. And then you can do the 3 across, again like a more dramatic look, the smoky, and then kind of a more, I don't know, what would that be? That would be kind of a little bit more of a defined day look. So what I have on my eyes right now is the first quad, just because I wanted to do a brighter lip, and I also thought this is the one that most people are probably going to reach for the most, and so why not do that one? I have played around with all of them. So first, the bad, since I've already said I love this, and I'm actually thinking they just put them out when I got this yesterday. I'm thinking of going back and hoping that they still have some more of these and buying them for my daughter and her friends because I really like it that much. But first we'll go into the negatives. So the negatives, there are I think 5 mattes. It's not written out here, so it's more what I guess. And then there are, of the 12, so 5 mattes and then 7 of these like more shimmery. They vary from like a satin to a shimmer, and I'm not really completely sure what a satin finish is. Sometimes satin to me looks a little bit metallic, sometimes whatever, it doesn't. So they vary all over the place, and they vary all over the place in quality too. In particular, I thought the mattes really underperformed, and I had a hard time building up a lot of color. In fact, I would say when you use this, you really should use an eyeshadow base if you want these colors to last. And if you want to get really defined colors, and I've lately been using, where is it? My Lancome, what's it called? Beige Porcelain La Base Paupière Pro. I've been using this one just because some of the other ones I was using were a little bit too much of a base, and they kind of absorbed too much color, and I ended up having too much eye makeup on my eyes. And since I have such a big eyelid, it just looks really bad when I have too much color on my lid. So I actually am using a softer eyeshadow base, and with a nude natural look like this, that's what I like better. The whole point of nudes is not to look like you've got lots of brown on your eyes. The whole point is to look like you don't have a lot of makeup on. But I still think that if you want these to last, you should definitely use an eyeshadow primer, because they might be a little chalky, a little bit inconsistent, depending on the color, and they just won't wear well, they won't show well. Some of the colors, though, have excellent quality. The other colors that I guess I should mention, I don't mind this, but the lighter shades are really light, and I actually like my lighter shades to be light. They're there for a reason, to kind of highlight right here, and they're almost just to the way I learned it was they're basically there to even out the skin tone kind of thing, as opposed to looking like you have shadow there. So for me, that's great. And then they have a little brush which has a pointy edge, and then the little spongy edge, which is fine. I either like that or don't like it. I did outdoor swatches too, and you see how they look. I don't feel any obligation to make my swatches look beautiful. I feel like if it doesn't show in 1 or 2 swipes, you should see that it doesn't show in 1 or 2 swipes. So you'll see from those swatches that the quality was inconsistent. But overall, I love this palette. Would I pay $40 for it? No, but I don't have to. It's $11. I just am blown away. I think it's such a useful palette for someone who doesn't already have a nude, for someone who wants something they can just throw in their bag and not worrying about losing or breaking, for someone who likes a natural nude look or is young, doesn't have the money to buy them and naked. It's perfect. So the first color, right up here, I'm going to swatch these on my arm. I'm going to do a double swatch on this. This is actually, I think, a really pretty, beautiful color. This is like a duochrome. It's a pink peach with a white shimmer. It's pretty sheer and it's pretty shimmery. I get zero fallout from this palette, and I've been wearing it now since I got it yesterday morning. I'm wearing it, like playing around with different colors. And I found that, because I put all these different colors on my eyes, I found that with an eyeshadow primer I get almost 8 hours of wear. Without, it doesn't do it, but at 8 hours I start seeing a little bit of fading, but it does last really well. So that's the first one. I'm actually going to wet my wrist so that you can see the next one's better, because otherwise they're so light. This next one is actually a really pretty color. It is a light taupe. It has kind of a pink purple undertone. It's slightly frosty. It doesn't, did I say it's a matte? It might be a matte. No, it's not a matte. It's got a slight frosty undertone to it, barely. This is the kind of color that shows up really poorly, I think, in swatches, but I put this on the outer part of my eye and then I did something darker in the crease, and I think these types of colors look really beautiful on the eyelid because they just give you what you're looking for, which is that natural, not so much makeup on the lid look. The next one is a matte, and this one, again, I'm going to wet my wrist because this one is almost my skin color. So part of the problem is that it's a really light shade, but then it really kind of basically is my skin color, isn't it? All right, we're just going to do it on the finger. That's it right there. Yeah, it's not even going to show on my finger. Well, yeah, it does a little bit. So this is a super light, warm peach ivory matte. This would be beautiful right under the eyebrow, unless you are of a darker skin tone. If you are a light to light medium, this is one of those perfect colors for just, like I said, evening out the skin tone so that you look a little bit more polished but don't look made up. The next one is a slightly metallic bronze. It's a warm color, and this is beautiful pigmentation. Look at how beautiful that is. It just applies evenly. It's beautiful. This is one of the longer wearing ones that apply like this. I'm just going to say it across the board. These last a lot longer on me. Beautiful, really pretty in the crease, or for a summer look, just softly put on your lid. It's just an amazing shade. I love it. The next one is a matte brown. This is a cool medium matte brown, and there's one that comes later that's very similar, but this one almost has a blackish purple undertone to it. In fact, should I do and this applies better than a lot of the other mattes, but again, my wrist is wet, so you can see when you have some sort of a base, they actually apply well. Let me just apply it without it being wet. When it's not wet, it applies like that. The next color is a matte, and that one also is being the two darker mattes apply a little bit better. So this one is a matte brown. This one has like a black, oh, this one, I'm sorry, the one with a black undertone. The other one had a purple pink undertone. Let's do that one again. This one's the one with the black undertone. Oh God, and now my wrist is dried and it's not showing. So you can see I applied it part wet, part not wet. You can see the difference in how well it applied. So the purple pink undertone and black undertone. And these are cooler shades. The next one is, again, one of those more metallic, glittery shades, which applies just beautifully. And this was like a gold brown with almost a slightish reddish undertone. The next one, so we're now down at this row. So those were the last two I applied. Now we just did that one, now we're gonna do this one right here. And this one is a shiny, ooh. Yeah, this is a matte, medium brown, and it's kind of a neutral. Let's see. Now, this gold. This is actually a pretty color. It applies beautifully, but it's really light. It applies very evenly. It's a super light, kind of a medium, slightly warm gold. It's got almost like a peachy undertone to it. Then, but just a tiny bit. When I'm saying a lot of these have just a tiny bit of undertone, I'm trying to explain what they are, but almost all of them veer to the very neutral, which is what I like about the palette too. The next is a bronze right here. It's not too shimmery. It's a metallic. It's kind of got little bits of pink and peach shimmer in it. Barely. So again, it's hard to describe unless you've actually seen these in person, which is why I like the outdoor swatches, because you can see them a little bit better than in artificial light. But when I'm saying that's like slightly shimmery or slightly this, there are a couple that are really quite shimmery, but nothing that shimmery. They're all really, when they say it's a nude palette, it's all kind of middle of the road, very neutral in a good way, in that you're not going to look overdone. This one is a really light shimmery pink taupe. And then the last one, I can't figure out if this is supposed to be matte black or if it's supposed to be matte gray. It definitely comes across more as like a charcoal than a black, but it does come across maybe as a black that just isn't that pigmented. So I can't tell, but it applies. I can't do super black on my, well, I can at nighttime. Sort of, but for me, I like these types of shades better because they're just easier to work with. It's really pretty dotted right on your lash line to give you just a little bit more definition of the lashes and of the eyes, more definition of the eyes, but not like overly dramatic, which looks just horrible on me. So I use, to get the look I have, I use only 3 brushes, 3 brushes, and I took this big shadow brush and I put it right there, and I put that right under the eyebrow. Then these two are really interchangeable. It's more the undertones. I took this one, which is a little bit less shimmery, and I put that in the outer part of the eye. I took the one right here, which is a little bit more shimmery, and put that in the inner part of the eye, and then I lined the bottom with it. Then I was using this to line. This is like a smoky eye brush for the under, and then I used this little liner brush and wet it and took the darker color right there. I just did a fine line and then took it right under just a tiny little bit. Again, I've said in other videos, if I do a super hard line on the bottom, I just look hard, but you want to balance out the shadows under the eye a little bit, and to do that, I basically use a lighter shade that I then fan out just a little tiny bit here. It doesn't look good on me if I fan it out too much. It just looks overdone, too much on the eyes. And then I take the darker color and put it just in the tiny little crease there. So I get like a, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch of the darker color down, and then I lined it here. Then I took the smoky eye brush again, and not wet, I put a little bit of the darker color in the crease halfway in. Again, if I go all the way on my big eye eyelid, it just looks like way too much makeup. So I just put it here, and then I just blended it a little and blended it in like that. So again, I get a little bit more of the dark here, and then I took the lighter color and just dotted it right here. But you see just a very natural, pretty, light look for $11, and I've got this whole palette. What else would I like to say? So I said with the primer it lasts 8, depending on the color, 8+ hours. Some of the darker, more pigmented shades that apply better last a lot longer. I wouldn't recommend it without a primer. I get no fallout. I just love it. I think that you can create so many amazing looks, and it's just such a useful palette. Sure, the quality isn't up there with every amazing palette that's ever been released, but then again, I've paid $50 or $60 for a palette that had quality that was kind of comparable or better than, comparable or worse than this one. But overall, I'm super excited, and I think I might actually head back to the drugstore, and if they still have them, get a couple more of these to give out, because I just think they're that great. This is not the Naked palette. This is not that quality, but gosh, it's a good palette for the price. So that's all I have to say. I would love to hear comments. I know some people really hate these chalky mattes, and there are a couple of those in here, and they really hate kind of those super light colors that are like really light. So if someone has a bias on those and has a thought, I'd love to hear that as well. If you have it, if you get it, anything, please subscribe on YouTube. And